Not without his difficulties. There's a side of him which is saddened, and he comes very, very near in the story to throwing the towel.
Well, Joe is a teacher here at the ETO school. He is, I imagine him to be someone who's just left university. He's decided that he wants to go to Africa and work with people less advantaged than himself. That's the way he would think about it. Joe certainly fights to try and maintain his worldview, which is a positive one, which believes that progress is maybe inevitable. And at the end, when he's faced with the beginning of the genocide, the reality of what is happening and about to happen, yet that crumbles.
To a certain extent, when you're making a film where where everyone in it is almost symbolic of a type, John Hurt represented the older, more wise old Africa hand. You wanted someone to contrast against that, who was the kind of naive yet willing youth that represented what the best of people going out to Africa or to Asia or to other places to help represents, and that is a kind of youthful exuberance and naivety. And Hugh, to me, apart from his intelligence, apart from his acting ability, had a kind of natural, I guess, Britishness, Englishness, that I felt was very accurate in terms of the types of people that I met out there, aid workers and NGOs and what have you. There were a lot of people like that who had more enthusiasm and idealism. And Hugh naturally reflected that. So I felt, after I read a whole bunch, there were a lot of people who wanted that part, but I felt that Hugh probably more than most really stood out for me.
When I first read the script, I was completely ignorant about Rwanda and its history and or what it's like now. So I was, in a way, a perfect test audience, because I think that would be true of most people that see the film. And my feeling was that I as a story, I was impressed by the way it slowly built. It's very difficult. I was aware as soon as I knew anything about, looked into concerning the genocide, the enormity of it is simply something you couldn't tell in its entirety. And what I think the script did very well, and it changed since I first saw it in some respects, but what it did from the beginning was hint at the scale of what was happening on the outskirts, and I found that to be more affecting and more powerful and more frightening than if you'd from the off been showing the roadblocks and the killings and so on and so forth. In every sense, being here, making a film here, making a film with people that went through in one way or another the events of the story, or at least the events of Rwanda 10 years ago, it just makes it very, very involving, more so than it would normally be. I found myself in the odd situation of knowing that I couldn't come out here, and I didn't want to come out here without learning as much as I could about the country and about the genocide and etc, 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 and that at the same time all of that research was not only really not going to be of much use in terms of the character I was playing, but could feasibly almost work against it, because I was playing someone who was, you could say, ignorant of certainly, I mean, he doesn't know about the future, but he's also possibly naive about the tensions in the country just before the genocide, and even then, once it does start, doesn't want to believe what he sees before his eyes. He's an idealist, and he keeps trying to return to that state of mind. So to inundate myself with facts, statistics, and the horrors of what did take place was essential but peripheral to the work, if you like. You can't disassociate the personal from the work experience, because so much of working and being in this place, in this school every day for however many weeks, is about the people that you're working with so closely, and many of them have been Rwandans, and through them I've heard and learned a lot about the country and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be very sad to leave, unequivocally.
Definitely one of the pleasures for me is the fusion, really, of Rwandan and British and German crews. That fusion between British and Rwandan and German has been...
We were supposed to protect everyone. Everybody dead on the